Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Factorio Vanilla, aka Modless, in our attempts to complete the game relatively quickly. We've got a lot more to do. Last time we met, I got through chemical science packs, military science packs, worked on improving the output of steel over here. Managed to do so by making additional steel furnaces. I will want more. I will want infinity amounts of everything. However, progress will need to be made slowly. We have a pollution cloud that looks a little bit like this. The closest biters are still a ways away, and there are the occasional forests. There is an occasional forest in the way of some of these places. We've got a little bit of time, is the point. Just a slight bit of time, though. We don't have a ton of time left. And the kittens, by the way, are around. And being kittens, specifically Ollie, who is a lot more active now that his infection appears to be abating. Now that we have good old-fashioned medicine for him. And he's running around playing, being naughty. Anyway, we've got to make stuff. We need to make things. We set up all of those 2 science packs. We need to work towards getting into the next science pack. As well as, I hope, the advanced oil processing at some point. You know, advanced oil processing would be great to get into electric engine units. Yes, it will be required to get into rocket fuel, for example. And a whole bunch of other things. Just refresh my memory on this rocket fuel. That is solid fuel plus light oil. Okay, aka a bunch of light oil. Sure. And then rocket silos are going to use those blue circuits. So blue circuits, electric engine units, concrete. Concrete requires water plus iron ore and gets unlocked here. It's stone bricks, iron ore, and water. So that's going to be a thing that I have to set up. I have red and green circuits. I have not advanced into the red belts at this point in time, nor do I think I intend to. The blue circuits are going to need sulfuric acid, which is pretty much just sulfur plus water and iron plates, making it extremely freaking easy to make. It's just getting the water and the iron in. That's the only niggling issue here. What I think I'm going to do is this with my pipes, and now I have water provided there. I will need iron provided as well. That'll be there. That will be there. That will be iron plates. Ooh. Ooh, that's fancy. We get to use a red level of underground belt for the very first time. Whoops. I did not actually intend that. This is my iron. Because you see the red belt has 2 extra spaces that it can travel across. And it's faster, twice as fast as the yellow belt. This is going to produce 50 sulfuric acid every second at the cost of 5 sulfur and 1 iron. This produces 2 sulfur, not 5. Therefore, more is required. What, you didn't think there would be more required? Of course there's gonna be more required. Wait, where's the... Oh, right. I'm like, where's the thingies? Where's the thingies? Oh yes, no squeak through. That's the other problem here. And that's gonna make sulfuric acid, and I'll be very, very happy having the sulfuric acid to make batteries as well. What do I really need the batteries for? Not much, really. Not to complete the game, anyway. If I wanted to get into laser turrets, I would need loads of batteries. How is the power doing? Okay, for now. Let's get rid of that. We can see that we have vision across where I need my vision right now. Let us make things. Making things is always a good idea. I need to pick up some steel to make some more of my oil processing setups. Need more. We'll do 2 more. I'm also going to set up the pipes for making the advanced oil processing, for doing the advanced oil processing. And while I'm here, I'm going to have a look and see that I have not picked up the circuit system yet, so that's going to be my next agenda item, is to pick up circuit network, because that's going to ultimately control all of this pipe work here, control what we're doing with all of the processing. Unfortunately, the way that I built this, I will have to do this below, do the actual processing below, and I will need a bunch of chemical plants. Let's build a bunch of chemical plants. 2 is not going to cut it. Unfortunately, only 2 is not going to be even remotely enough. So we're going to grab a few units of this steel. Steal some steel to build some chem plants. I apparently need copper. Well, copper I have, it's just, you know, steel, that's the main issue here. And I actually think I need to add more steel processing from these iron plates, or from this iron ore that I have up here. Note that I have 30, or I have 15 per second of iron being fed in to this setup, and I'm very much interested in scaling this dramatically. There you go. Yeah, that makes sense. That works. For the exception that now I actually have the medium power poles and don't really need the smalls at all. Wait, what? I can replace all of these small power poles. Yes, I can just replace all of these small power poles. Not quite. Wait, what? Why? Oh. Okay. Well, that settles that then. Yeah, that works so well. So we effectively just added 4 with that 8. And we can now avoid that extra gap. We don't need to put that extra gap in. I'm going to put the extra gap in just to keep it looking consistent. Just to know that it's not actually required. And I will eventually get into the electric furnaces, but then you spend power rather than coal directly. This has now doubled the steel production from before, and is a decent decision to make at this point in time. I need loads of steel at this point for loads of chem plants. Yes, I should automate additional buildings, but when it comes to saving time, I'm going to need to handcraft some stuff anyway to always be handcrafting. Okay, I can now actually make low-density structures, which are going to be important for getting into utility science packs, as well as the flying robot frames and the processing units. The frames are going to be made with the electric engine units as well as batteries. The electric engine units are made out of engines and lubricant, and thus we get all the way back here to the advanced oil processing. But before I do that, I will want circuit networks. There we go. That is the current agenda. Because once I get into circuit networks, I can make some wires, and from the wires, I can get into some glorious stuff. Now, do I really need to be producing military science right now? Oh yeah, I have a car. I need to make sure that I actually use the car. That would be ideal. You know, actually using car. 1 solid fuel for 20 petroleum is not the greatest of ideas. Okay. I also need storage tanks and pumps. Pumps and storage tanks. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to, while working on a speed run of this game, I'm going to explain to you how to actually properly set up vanilla oil. Advanced vanilla oil. Now, there are ratios and all of that you can follow. We're not going to follow ratios. The gasp! We're not going to follow ratios because it's much easier to do that when you're doing full-on planning. I'm trying to show that you can do this achievement without really paying too much mind to much of anything. That was a lot of steel. Hi. I need copper. Oh god, I just did a whole bunch of queuing of stuff, and now I can make the wires. Give me decider combinators. That's what I need. Next, I'm going to pick up the advanced oil. So, circuit networks. You can use the circuit network system in this game in order to make your own versions of valves, overflow valves, by using pumps attached to stuffs. Yes, so very specific. Pumps attached to stuff. Pumps attached to storage tanks. That is exactly what you can do. Through the power of decider combinators. Actually, not. I don't even think you need the combinators. It's just wires. Through wire logic, you can make magic happen. I'm going to pick up additional pipe, standard pipe, and more pipe to ground as we make stuff here. As I wait for advanced oil processing, which is going to be actually coming very quickly, I can explain that when I want to pump excess stuff out, a storage tank can only hold a certain amount of fluid in it. Storage tanks hold a specific amount of fluid. If I hooked up a fluid, say this, and put power to the pump, a single storage tank can hold 25,000 units of stuff at a time. If I were to make wires, I can connect this pump to this storage tank. And I can be like, hey, pump, you're going to do some logic for me. See, you're going to be active only if the amount of petroleum in this tank is greater than 20,000. If there is more in this tank than 20,000, then you can be active and use excess stuff from this tank. This is just using petroleum as an example, not as a hard and fast rule. And yes, that does end up voiding all of that petroleum, but you get the point, I would hope. Can that actually... No, of course not. Okay, we have our advanced oil. Lubricant. And we need to switch this over to the advanced oil recipes. Advanced oil. Okay. Step 1. We want to convert heavy oil into lubricant. All, potentially, of our heavy oil production. We have 5 oil refineries. We make 25 heavy oil every 5 seconds. That's 5 per second times 5. 25 heavy oil per second being produced. We want to turn that into lubricant once this recipe is unlocked. This is 10 per second. I need 3 buildings that can convert heavy oil into lubricant. But there's always a but. There are other things that we can do with heavy oil. And what we're going to do is we're going to take a tank, wherever the tanks are in my inventory. Hello, tanks. There you are. We are going to take a tank. That's fine without the pump on the input. That doesn't matter as much. We're going to pump on the output. This is going to be the pump that I want to always have active. And then we're going to have this pump, which we're going to take a wire which we're going to take a wire, I don't need all that many, just a few. And we're going to wire up this tank. And we're going to say that you are going to be enabled when any of the input, whenever the input is greater than or equal to 20,000. And as you can see, we have 44.8 stuffs in there right now. 44.8. Let's make the electric engine units happen next. Note that I am most likely, light oil. I am most likely light oiled right now, full on light oil. We will get to that. This is going to make lubricant. It's fine as is. And once this storage tank is full, it can actually output stuff down here. This line is going to be converting heavy oil into light oil, and it has to consume up to the full 25 per second. It looks like one can do 20 per second processing into light. See, that's 20 per second, converting heavy oil on the input. It will need water, so we'll have to bring a water line in as well. And the output of this is light oil, but we want to make sure that we actually, use our light oil as well. So let's bring this line of light oil down to here. And make sure that my tank is placed for the lightest of the light oil. Now, there are ways to use light oil and do more complex stuff than this. We're not going to do that. We're just going to combine the full outputs here, put down a pump, actually, to have one-way flow from there. This is going to make sure that our stuff happens. Robotics gives me the flying robot frames, which is a step towards robots. This is going to fill this tank. It is the exact same logic on the output here with our red wire. Do not stop crafting. Do not stop crafting stuff. I need things. You enabled if anything is greater than 20,000 units. And you are just going to be enabled at all times. The one that is enabled at all times, it's going to be converting our light oil into solid fuel, because it only takes 10 units of solid fuel, or 10 units of light oil to make a unit of solid fuel, as opposed to 20 of the other two. So this is going to be our solid fuel production line. We have 3 here. This makes how much each second? It makes 1/2 of 1 solid fuel per second. So if we have 4 of these, that means we have 2 solid fuel per second. We are consuming 10 light oil each building. We are producing, or 10 per 2 seconds, so this would be 20 light oil per second. We are producing 45 every 5 per building, so we have 5 buildings. So it's 45 per second of light oil, plus the 2 buildings here, 30, up to 30 per second from 40 heavy. So if we are able to have enough buildings down here processing the light oil, this will process, we said, this is 40 light oil total. More than that. This now works wonders for us. Yes? Yes. This works absolute wonders. And then, so those are those outputs. This is pretty much all the light oil is really good for. All of the excess will come down here, and it's going to get cracked down into the petroleum gas. Of course, with a bit of water as well. And we need a bunch of these buildings. This processes 15 light oil per second. So 30, 60, 70 something. 75. Is that enough? Probably not, but we'll see as we go along. Whoops. Robotics is finished. I can pick up actual construction and logistic robotics. I'm looking for utility science. That'll come after this. So these circuits use the previous circuits plus sulfuric acid in amounts. How's that cloud looking? Just fine, but to my eyes. And yes, I'm covering over some of these. It's fine. I'll add 2 more for good measure just to have enough. Oh, right, I need the buildings. Hello, buildings. Or not. Or not. And then, what we need to do is we need to make sure that we actually use the petroleum, right? Well, the way that the game is balanced, sorry to say, but yes, the game is balanced. You will always have greater need for petroleum gas than the other stuff. There will always be a greater demand on petroleum gas. If you don't currently have that demand for petroleum gas, then chances are you don't actually have the demand for the other things yet. You can run into a little bit of an issue on the making of the lubricant. If you choose to do the electric engine units first, but just the way that things tend to go is we are going to be constantly spending petroleum gas on the production of processing units. We are also going to be constantly consuming petroleum gas on the production of batteries. Yes, batteries for the, I think it's the electric engine units as well, or something along those lines. Where even is... Alright, batteries, it is robotics, it is the flying robot frames. We'll use batteries, as well as the electric engine units, which are circuits and lube. Okay. But yeah, these are going to use batteries, and batteries are sulfuric acid, which is petroleum, you know? And the red, the blue science is going to use sulfur. Blue science uses sulfur, and all of that stuff, it adds up. It adds up to greatness. It adds up to greatness. Plastic will get used in things too. Plastic, in fact, is being used for red circuits. Hey, hey! Plastic being used for red circuits. That's going to be a big expenditure of circuits. And now that we have discussed all of this and have spent half an hour playing, it is time to wrap us up right here, folks. With that, I would like to thank you all for watching. This has been Otaku Showboat. If you have enjoyed today's video, please be sure to do all of the social and engagement stuff down below. You can become an erudite otaku by hitting that great big blue join button, turning that blue button gray. And you can, of course, support me on Patreon at patreon.com/otakushowboat if you are so inclined and able. And we are progressing. We have 4.5 hours left. I don't know if it's going to actually happen within that 4.5 hours, but yeah, we'll start with a trickle towards getting the rocket launch, and then we will build up from there, scale up from there. I will see you all on the next one.